Isaiah Stewart is the greatest specialist in NBA history. Welcome back to the Talk Yours podcast, and today we're going to be going over a variety of topics. We're going to be talking about, first, the NBA's tanking problem and how we might go about fixing it. Then we're going to be talking about, obviously, the big Brawl, holla, that happened last night in the Hornets Pistons game. 4 players ejected, potential suspensions coming, most likely for Moussa Diabate, Jalen Duren, Isaiah Stewart, maybe Miles Bridges. And then we are just going to be going on to a variety of topics. So we've got a lot we're going to hit today. Stay tuned. And we're going to be including timestamps in the video. So if anything sounds particularly interesting to you, just hit that thing at the bottom and go to where you want to see us.
Let's do it. World's greatest podcast. Starting off with the NBA's tanking problem. Yes, self-proclaimed. Not only self-proclaimed, but I'm pretty sure the critics say it as well.
You know what? My landlord loves our podcast. He watches it all the time.
And my little brother. So listen. The NBA's tanking problem has gotten pretty bad recently. It's especially been prevalent online. Like, a lot of people are complaining about it. And I feel like it's been pretty bad for years, but especially bad this year when we have star players is a stretch, but star caliber players, or at least the team's best players, sitting out fourth quarters as of recently. Particularly the Utah Jazz with Jaren Jackson Jr., Lauri Markkanen, and Jusuf Nurkic. Yes, Jusuf Nurkic is actually kind of good in the year of 2026, but those guys have not played the fourth quarters of close games in the last 2 games. And it was pretty clear that the Jazz were trying to lose both of them. And one of them, Bryce Sensabaugh, said, "No, I don't want to lose." And he ended up hitting like a pretty clutch, not game winner, but a pretty clutch shot to beat the Miami Heat. And then Bam Adebayo in the postgame conference said, "It's pretty sad that we can't find ways to beat teams that are, let's face it, trying to lose." He acknowledged that they were trying to lose and they still lost to him. So I guess it's an ethical tank in that sense. But the tanking has gotten bad. It's become unwatchable. There should be no reason for players like Will Riley to be starting for the Washington Wizards when they have better players on the team. And Will Riley, he has been hooping, don't get me wrong, but the tanking has gotten really bad and it needs fixing. I don't necessarily know what they should do, but I do have a couple of ideas. One of the main reasons that, teams tank is so that they can get a really good draft pick. And even though in the last couple of years, teams like the Atlanta Hawks and like the Dallas Mavericks have won the lottery while not being that bad of a team, just that floor of being, like, if you are the worst team in the NBA, the lowest you can get is pick 5 in the draft. And that is enough incentive for people to intentionally lose. What's a possible solution for this, Cam?
I mean, I think the first thing you talked about, right, is how NBA teams have still a good incentive for losing because the lowest pick they can get is 5 if they finish with the worst record. I think changing the draft lottery odds, or at least changing it for the top teams so that they can drop further, maybe as far as 8 in the draft, would create less of an incentive to tank. I don't want to punish truly bad teams, but the problem is now we have reached a point in the NBA where, as people have talked about for a while, we have more talent in the league than we ever have before. Whether that talent at the highest level is better than the high-level talent we've had at different points in the NBA, I think is a great debate to have. But I think at this point in NBA history, there is more talent spread out across the league than there has been ever at any point in NBA history. So you have very few rosters that are actually designed to tank. Let's look at a team like the Sacramento Kings, right? This is a team that theoretically was going all in on this core of guys as much as you can, right? They have DeMar DeRozan, they have Zach LaVine, they have Russell Westbrook, they have DeMontis Sabonis, they have Malik Monk, they have Keegan Murray. They have a bunch of guys who are somewhat tradable assets. Maybe you don't trade Keegan Murray, but guys who you brought in and kept on the team in order to win. And they are the worst team in the NBA, right?
That's ethical. That's like a legit just bad team. They're not trying to lose. Just somehow you made a team that was that bad on purpose. Or
right.
On accident.
On accident, right? And then you look at a team like the Nets. The Nets are just a poor roster, right? The Nets are not a team that was supposed to win this year. I mean, MPJ has been playing phenomenal. The fact that he still hasn't been announced as an all-star injury replacement is pretty insane to me and Corby both. But another roster, very poor. The Utah Jazz. This is what I hate about it. They went and they traded young assets, future assets, for a now asset in Jaren Jackson Jr. Then they decided to tank the rest of their season in order to make themselves better next year. And there is no way to necessarily measure these trades and go, if you make a trade to become a competitive team, we are going to punish you if you attempt to tank. But that's what makes this so gross, is the Jazz made kind of a quote unquote all in push, then decided to tank in order to get more assets. There is nothing ethical about this whatsoever.
I think it's the same thing with the Washington Wizards as well.
I was about to bring them up too. I think it's a very similar thing. Anthony Davis out for the rest of the season. Trae Young likely out for the rest of the season. And you can say it's for injury management, but we all know that Trae Young was likely going to play again this year if he was still on the Atlanta Hawks. So
he's probably 95% there, and they don't want to play him, which is fine. But I just don't and I know Sharif Cooper, he's been hooping recently off the bench. There's no way you're saying that he's the best player available for you when you have all these other guys, and especially the Jazz where they're playing, Lauri Markkanen because they want him to win an award, but then you're going to sit him in the entire fourth quarter. And then Will Hardy, when asked about this in the press conference, said he wasn't even close to putting any of Jaren or Lauri Markkanen into the game. He wasn't even close to putting his best player into the game. That's insane to me.
And Will Hardy has been known throughout the season to make some odd decisions. I mean, we just talked about Bryce Sensabaugh. This is a guy that was coming off the bench for a very long time, I believe is still coming off the bench, and was playing phenomenally. He had the most points in any 3-game stretch in the history of the Utah Jazz off the bench, and he still wasn't made to be a starter. So I think there's been some very odd decisions made by the Utah Jazz. I want to walk back to what you had asked me, which is how I would go about fixing it. I really do think the draft lottery odds are the best way to disincentivize these teams from tanking. I think just as we had a change in when was it? When was it that it changed from like 25% to 14%? Was that
was probably around 2017, I feel like.
It might have been, yeah. We need to do that again because I was thinking about this as we brought up this topic. There's the joke, right? What are the 3 play-in teams in the East every single year? Hawks, Heat, Bulls, right? Except Bulls got their chain snatched by the Hornets this year.
So, intruder alert. The Hornets should not be in the play-in. This should not be allowed. No.
Okay, but let's face it. These are teams that have been very stagnant and have been in the place that they're in, which is as a play-in team and a first-round exit for a good amount of time. Now, I don't think teams should be rewarded for being play-in exits. I'm not saying that, but when you talk about the levels of the NBA, there is a lot of really competitive teams up here, and then you've got your play-in teams and your tanking teams, and I don't think it's crazy to say your play-in teams are closer to your tanking teams than they are to your top competitive teams. So let's increase the percentage chances for one of those play-in exit teams or the teams around there to get a higher draft pick and decrease the odds that a team lower down is going to get a higher draft pick because we don't have any 2013 Bobcats anymore. We don't have any 2016 76ers anymore, or it might have been the 2012 Bobcats. These absolutely awful rosters that are just horrible don't really exist in the NBA at this point in time. If you have a roster of guys in the... I could look at every roster in the NBA and say, for the most part, this team with the right coaching and right game plan should be able to compete for a play-in spot. And I don't think that's crazy to say.
I would say every team except, and I know we were just hyping up MPJ. I don't think the Nets.
The Nets actually do have, and they drafted 5 rookies this year. They should not have a good
And I also don't think the Wizards are a roster like that. I just do think that they're a little bit better than what they really are, and the way that they're going about this is...
I'm not saying I'm not saying they should be a play-in team. I'm saying they could compete for one. Because let's look at the NBA standings right now. And obviously... Oh, we didn't even mention them. The Pelicans. That is an ethical ass tank that just doesn't do anything for them because they have literally had no incentive to tank the entire year. They have an incentive for... No, they don't even... They have their pick next year.
Yeah.
But let's look at this. So Hornets to Pacers is a essentially 11.5 game difference. It's a big difference. But the Pacers are missing their best player and were like the worst team in the NBA to start the year, right? The Kings are right now 14.5 games back. So pretty far back. But the gap gets made a lot of the time when these teams tank, is my point. The Jazz are only 9 games back with 30 games. Now, is that a lot? Is that a lot of ground to make up? It's absolutely a lot of ground to make up, and they're not going to make up that ground. But what I'm saying is you can exist. There are a lot of teams in the NBA that are really bad, that are tanking teams, that can exist in this sort of low 20s win range if they weren't, objectively tanking.
But I'd say the problem with your logic is I do want the really bad teams to be getting the best picks. I hated that the Pistons 2 years in a row were the worst team in the NBA, and they dropped all the way to 5.
And you know what the Pistons did? They put together a good roster, and now they're the second best team in the NBA record-wise.
Eventually.
Eventually, yes, but you don't need those high picks to become a good team. Now, does it speed up the process? Does tanking work? It absolutely does. There's been many different statistical evaluations that show that tanking has a measurable impact on increased winning, even from prior to the tanking beginning. Most teams were better after they deconstructed their competitive roster, tanked, and then drafted high
than before.
But the problem is you can still get good without doing that. It requires more effort, and there's no guarantee that even if you draft high, you will get good. Look at a team like the Wizards that has just been perpetually bad despite all of these high draft picks.
You know what I think the real solution? Okay, I think I have thought of two real solutions, and one of them is technically going on right now, and that is not letting the worst teams get the number one, or not letting the tanking teams get the number one overall pick, aka the Hawks, aka the Mavericks. But that hasn't stopped these teams from tanking. Is the thing. Like, they keep seeing this. They keep seeing that people who have really low odds are jumping, and you can honestly figure that the NBA is rigging it. Personally, I believe that the NBA draft lottery is rigged, and they don't want these whatever. I can't even say it. But the problem is these owners keep thinking if they tank, they're going to get the number one pick. No, it is rigged. So I kind of agree with you. I think they should increase the odds throughout, and then they should just keep rigging it. And maybe eventually people will realize, hey, let's just try and win games because it's rigged anyway. That's what I want. My other solution to fix tanking is to heavily fine teams. Heavily investigate and find teams who are intentionally trying to lose. It's kind of crazy how the commissioner is just allowing this to happen, technically because it's in the rules. Especially with all the sports betting going on, there should not be DNP fourth quarters from the best player on teams. And I'm not even a gambler, but it's like, that is stupid. Every team ideally should be trying to win. And eventually we're going to get into NBA expansion and how that is being introduced soon. But I think if the NBA does expand, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, the NBA is only going to get less competitive. There's only going to be more tanking teams. There's only going to be less competitive teams. And there's going to be more of these like middle ground trying to tank.
Which is why the NBA needs to expand too, because we shouldn't have teams with all-star or borderline all-star caliber players being the worst teams in the league. We need actual bad teams in the NBA. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy to say, but I don't want to see players like Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Zion Williamson, MPJ, all these guys just waste the years of their career on non-competitive teams.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. I kind of just do want to leave that for its own thing. Yeah. One thing I will say is the NFL is way better with tanking, in my opinion, even without a draft lottery. And I would honestly say it's because of the lack of games in the league. And how, like, if you're a Giants fan and your team sucks, you only get to watch them win like twice. Like, that's brutal. Like, fans are gonna reject you if you just have repeatedly 2 or 3 win seasons. If you're a Nets fan or a Hornets fan, or Hornets are good now, but like whatever, for example, a Jazz fan, even with a team being really, really bad, you still get to watch them win like 25, 30 times in the season. So fans aren't as mad at you. I actually kind of do think lowering the amount of games played will decrease tanking, because imagine like the whole football thing of like, dude, if in the NFL, if your team loses, you have to think about that for a whole week before the next game. In the NBA, it's like, oh, we play tomorrow. We might win.
I somewhat agree with that. The problem is in the NFL, you have one game a week. People are going to show up to that game a lot of the time, especially. So I'm a Raiders fan. Las Vegas is a huge market. There's a big problem right now with the Raiders, which is that home fans aren't showing up to games. Stadium's still full, though, because a lot of away team fans are showing up to the games. They take their weekend trip to Vegas, and then they go to the game. So the Raiders don't have a financial incentive to not be bad, because they're going to fill up that stadium regardless. It's not going to be full of Raiders fans, but it's going to be full of fans. So I think sometimes I get what you're saying. Fans won't support it. They won't get behind it. But at the end of the day, a lot of these owners do just care about their bottom line. And the NFL is a sport such that it only happens 4 months out of the year, 5 months out of the year, right? Your team only plays 17 games. People are going to watch those games. If the Warriors sucked, would I watch every Warriors game? No. But I watch almost every damn Raiders game, no matter how bad they are, because my team plays once a week. I only get 17 opportunities every year to watch my team play. So I think the NFL is a little bit different in that regard. I understand what you're saying. Like, I feel like what disincentivizes tanking is the fact that drafting is harder in the NFL. It may sound odd, but think about if you are a fan of the New York Giants, Cleveland Browns, Raiders, any of these teams that have had high draft picks a lot in recent years and just miss after miss after miss after miss. It's just really hard in the NBA to miss on that many guys in a row. At the end of the day, talent will win out a lot of the time in the NBA, at least to some degree, or you'll be able to flip that talent for something else. But in the NFL, there's a lot of scheming, there's a lot of matches, there's a lot of there's more injury concerns. And I feel like that makes drafting a lot harder, especially when you have NFL GMs that, reach on these guys.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what that made me realize with how quote unquote easy tanking is or drafting is in the NBA? The OKC Thunder, they tanked, and it was really bad when they tanked. And I'll say it was almost as bad as the Jazz thing, even though I do think Shea was really hurt when he wasn't playing a lot in these tanking years. But they had one top pick. They only had Chet. Chet was their only top pick, I guess, besides Giddey. But Giddey didn't even end up turning out much.
But they were able to they were able to turn Giddey for Alex Caruso.
And they were, yeah. But I still think Caruso, they probably could have drafted or traded a draft pick or two and got him instead of Giddey, even though Giddey's been an all-star caliber player.
Sure, but they were able to save those draft picks.
But these teams that are intentionally losing, I mean, I'm trying to think. So there are less misses in the NBA draft, but there's a lot more. There's a lot of injuries in the NBA. Like there's most of these top tier players are not going to hit that 65 game mark. And our awards are going to look absolutely terrible. And I think winning now, when you look at the Thunder and the Pistons, it comes down to depth nowadays. And when you're tanking, you're not trying to get more depth. You're trying to get a better top guy. And I feel like tanking doesn't even, that's the thing that pisses me off about NBA tanking. It doesn't really even work. Like, I know you're saying it does work. It might work one time.
It works to the extent of getting back into a competitive position. I don't think tanking is ever going to be what makes you a contender. Let's talk about these contenders real quick. The Thunder, did they tank shamelessly? Yes. Is that the reason why they're good? No, they actually did. They hit on Jalen Williams in the draft. They traded for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They traded for Alex Caruso. They had Lou Dort beforehand, which was a later draft, back when they were actually competitive. It was a later in the first round draft pick, I believe, if not a second round draft pick that they used on him. This is a team whose core is Isaiah Hartenstein, free agent signing, mostly built through things outside of the draft and outside of tanking.
Well, I wouldn't even say outside the draft, but outside of the lottery.
Mm-hmm. Now the Spurs,
they got a bunch of second round.
The Spurs, even though we have to see what they're going to be in the playoffs, and they are contenders based on their record, but not yet their actual shown level of competition in the playoffs, they built their team a lot through the draft and through tanking. That's actually a team I feel like maybe should get a little more focus for that. But also
they were bad for a while.
They were just bad. They just had a bad roster, right? The Nuggets didn't tank. Rockets, debatable. But I would say that roster again.
You could say their tanking didn't work though. Like
it didn't.
Their tanking got them Jalen Green. Amen Thompson's the one guy, right?
Yeah.
Sengun was later in the draft.
Sengun was later in the draft. Fred VanVleet was a free agent signing. Dylan Brooks was a free agent signing. Then obviously Kevin Durant was made through the trade. Steven Adams was a free agent signing. Jeff Green was a free agent signing. Reed Shepard was a top pick, but we have yet to see if he's going to live up to that billing. He's been playing good so far this year.
He's been playing all right.
Lakers, no. Timberwolves, no. I mean, Ant obviously is like the one top pick.
Yeah, they got Ant, and then they got no other top pick.
So I mean, maybe as I look through these teams, the Pistons got their top guy through the draft. Knicks got it through a free agent signing. Celtics got theirs through the draft. Cavs got theirs through free agency. Raptors got theirs through.
Hey, Celtics didn't tank.
The draft. No, Celtics didn't tank. They just were really smart.
They got the pick.
I mean,
lucky.
You want to talk about a masterclass of management. Look at the Boston Celtics and what they've done over the last 10 years.
Yeah, Cavs are bad for like 2 seasons. They got Garland and they got Mobley.
Yeah, they got Garland and Mobley. 2 very solid pieces. They turned Garland into James Harden.
But they were just bad. Like they didn't have talent on the roster. They had talent, they had no talent, drafted these guys, and then added the talent, which is what I respect the Wizards and Jazz for doing. Mm-hmm. But you don't just keep on tanking and making it super intentional
The problem is, I guess this is the problem, is that the Jazz tanking has been a topic of conversation for a while now, and it is very obvious that they're tanking. We've been saying this for the last 2 years, that it's very obvious that they've been tanking late in the season, and now it's getting to the point where they're continuing to do it despite making moves that indicate that they want to be a competitive team next year, or even this year, and it's really frustrating to watch because it's so obviously intentional, and the NBA can't do anything about it.
Yeah. So I think that kind of sums up. I just do want to emphasize the second point I had, in which Adam Silver does need to find this kind of intense tanking.
I just don't know how you. I mean, you could, but
it's not your best players.
It's not like you saw the report that they're investigating the Thunder for sitting players during a nationally televised game. The reason why they can do that is because they set the parameter in place that you can't rest players during nationally televised games. You can't really, it's harder to set a parameter around these things because a lot of the time they're resting these guys based on injury designations. And the problem is they probably do have some low-level injury.
Larry Markkinen does not. Jaren Jackson Jr. does not. I do not. I just don't.
But they might have some minor, like, tendon tear, muscular tear, something like that. Something that doesn't keep somebody away
that everyone
from playing.
does.
That's the thing. Everyone does. No, that is the problem, is everyone probably has those injuries throughout the season, but the NBA can't go and say you can't rest your players for being injured, or say that you can't rest your players for... I'm sure there actually are different things the NBA looks for, like you can't rest your player for having a stub toe. But these injury designations are given in such a way where it's muscle tear, tendon tear, strained this, cramping this, illness. You know what I mean? Things that you can't really say are minor because they're qualified in a way that doesn't make them sound minor. They fall under the NBA's umbrella of things that are okay to rest a player for. But
Adam Silver needs a backbone. He needs to show his power. I'm sorry. I could give every excuse to my mom growing up about things I did and didn't do, and she'd still get pissed at me no matter what. Dude, Adam Silver, you are the father of this NBA. You gotta step up.
You gotta step up.
You gotta step up, man.
Can't just be the stepdad. You gotta be the dad that stepped up.
Dude, for real. Like you're just letting your kids get away with anything nowadays. I don't care that's technically not in the parent guidebook. Dude,
no, I mean,
spare the house.
It's me and you are both in agreement that the NBA needs a new commissioner, or at least needs Adam Silver to develop a different style of being a commissioner.
Speaking of that,
yes,
the Pistons and the Hornets got into a pretty big fight. It first started out with Jalen Duren going up on Diabate. Diabate kind of fouling him in a way of saying, hey, you are not getting this bucket. But it wasn't like too aggressive or anything. They both get in each other's face. Duren just takes his palm and just jabs at
kind of grabbed his face.
Yeah, pretty much grabbed Diabate's face.
Which, if you think about that for a second, and I'm not someone who wants to be like, as a man, you have to do this. But as a man, if another man walks up to you and palms your face,
you got to fight him.
I'm not saying what Musa did was proportionally, reactive, but I get it.
Also, by the way,
I get it.
Duren is a big dude. Diabate is 6'9", and he's a big man. You should have the ego to just want to do that to Duren if someone does that to you. Now, if someone does it to me, it is Jalen Duren. Unfortunately, I'm not doing anything back. I'd like to think I would. I really would. I'd have to use a gun because like I'm not doing that to Duren with this physique, with my 100 pounds less or more than 100 pounds.
Jalen Duren is a scary look.
130 pounds.
Jalen Duren is.
But if you're Diabate, you have. I mean, just look at Diabate. He wants to fight Duren, and he did. And Duren kept going Diabate kept going at Duren.
And then while this whole thing is going on and security is trying to break them up, here comes Miles Bridges in from the sidelines. I mean, he wasn't actually on the bench. He was in the game. But here he comes running in. Now he's trying to fight Duren. And then all of a sudden, in the corner of your eye, you see this big shape with dreads move into Miles Bridges, just ready to swing. I mean, beef stew, I can't say that I think what he did was great in terms of coming off the bench and fighting him, but that dude has created an identity for himself and he's stuck to it. He's about fighting. Like, he wants to fight.
I think it was great. It was great for all of them that they did it. And I do think that the NBA needs to be a little bit more relaxed on fighting, because outside of Malice
of the Palace.
Yeah, I forgot for a second. Malice of the Palace. Outside of that, nothing truly bad has like really come from the fighting. The only exception I'd say a little bit is what Jokic did to Marcus or Markieff Morris. I forget which one it was. Do you remember when he
shoved him
in the back and it actually like gave him like back problems?
I do remember that.
Yeah, so that was pretty bad. Mouse of the Palace. But besides that, like nothing too bad. Even when there's punches thrown, nothing too bad comes from all the fighting. And there's other leagues like hockey that allow it to happen. There's other leagues like football where nothing happens from it. And then the NBA will suspend all these players for doing it. And I understand we're supposed to be professional and all that, but this is supposed to be a physical sport.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, that reflection, like no one sees it as a physical sport nowadays, especially because of all the lack of fighting.
I mean,
but also people in the NBA right now, no one actually wants to fight. That's the thing. One, because they'll get fined and they're losing money, and no one wants to lose money. But also, they just no one's really like a fighter, because you think of 2000s NBA, and it's a lot of guys who are just physical, trying to grab the rebound with all their might, and they are guys who will just use all their body and go into contact and want to kind of fight you.
I mean, look at the body type changes from the early 2000s to the mid 2000s in the 90s to now. You have a lot of guys now that are more focused on speed and agility, and that's what the game has turned into, is a game of speed and quickness in a lot of ways. Even for bigger guys, it's using your quickness in the right ways. It's no longer this super physical post-up game that it used to be, even for guards. So it makes sense that guys have become less physical in their play styles and less physical in their mentalities. And I also think part of it is the whole nonchalant thing a little bit, because you always hear players say now, oh, it's just a game. Like, just getting too physical for a game. People got too into it. Oh, calm down. It's just a game. I want NBA players to, not literally, but like to want to die for this shit. Like I feel like if you're in the NBA, you shouldn't just be nonchalant about being in the NBA. You should really deeply care about wanting to win, and you should really deeply care about being competitive. So yeah, I mean, the problem with it, you say the NBA should relax on it, and I do agree with you. The problem is the history, right? In the 80s, the NBA was seen as a very thuggish sport, and we all know what that means when you're relating it to African-American athletes and how people are perceiving that. And what the NBA did is they looked at their image and they said that they weren't able to market themselves to the general audience. They were going to lose a lot of their financial support for their league, and they needed to change things. So they started changing regulations. David Stern started cracking down really hard on these players and what they're able to do in game, and punishments for fighting and punishments for physicality. Then we had rule changes where, we have stricter regulations for flagrant fouls, stricter regulations for technical fouls, all of these things. And then you had Malice at the Palace and just all of this culmination of strict, where now the NBA really doesn't want to go back to that. Like the NBA, I think, is scared of going back to being a league that's viewed that way.
And I think that's fair, but we are too far on the other end of the spectrum, where it is now seen as the softest league ever, where everyone just travels, everyone does this. I'm not gonna lie, if you're watching a clip of this, watch the whole podcast, and if you're watching the whole podcast, watch the whole thing, because I think a lot of these first 3 or 4 topics will all tie into one specific thing. And that is just unfortunately, the image of the NBA right now. Where we're talking about a lot of the problems like right now. And I love the NBA. There's a lot of good things about it. I love watching it. And that the reason why we talk about this is because we want it to be better. We want it to be the best product it can be.
I'm not going to say, well, you go ahead, actually.
But if you talk to the average person who's not an NBA or like specifically a basketball fan, they're watching college basketball way more than regular or the NBA. Or they just gave up on basketball because they love the NBA and they don't want to get into college sports, and so they just stopped watching basketball altogether and said, "Hey, like dude, if you live in Utah right now, hockey is on the up. One, because they just got a franchise, but I feel like in general, hockey is getting a lot of traction as of recently, especially with the Olympics going on.
Baseball is too. I mean,
baseball.
People are starting to pay attention to the World Baseball Classic, which is something that people really didn't care about that much. It was really just the playoffs and the World Series, and now people are tuning in the off season to watch a tournament, a baseball tournament. So, yeah, these other sports are on the up, and I feel like the NFL is interesting. The NFL is almost too big to fail in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They just have too much money behind them. I mean, the Super Bowl is the biggest American sporting event every year. So,
yeah, I wonder how the Super Bowl did this year compared to the previous years.
Probably, I mean, I know the tickets this year were the second most expensive on average out of any Super Bowl ever, which is kind of crazy given how little hype each team had in the preseason.
Yeah, that is pretty
so
crazy. I guess it's inflation. I did talk to a decent amount of people who didn't watch the Super Bowl, though.
This year's halftime show was also the most watched ever.
Really?
135 million people worldwide.
That's crazy. A good halftime show, by the way.
It was a good halftime show.
Yeah, but I don't know how much more I have to say about it. I just do. If you want to look at it, but yeah, I do think the NBA needs change. One of these could be fighting. I don't want to see fights every game. I don't. I want to watch the actual sport. And I don't want to watch just people. If I want to watch people fight, I'd watch the MMA. I'd watch street beefs on YouTube. I'd watch UFC. There's other sports I'd rather, because these guys are huge, but they probably can't really fight compared to someone who like actually knows how to. But so I do want to actually watch the sport.
I agree.
But just let us get it a little bit more, because I don't like the fake tough thing where like two players kind of get at it a little bit and then immediately they don't even look to punch. They're just kind of they're just waiting for their teammates to hold them back. That's also super lame though. So I just want a middle ground.
Yeah. And I also just feel like part of the problem, this is the thing I'll end on, is that the whole idea of the NBA diminishing physicality has also made their players softer, but it's mentally. Everyone complains about foul calls all the time. Everyone's looking for a flagrant foul all the time. And then, I mean, you have people like Draymond Green who get away with pretty much anything. And I say that as a Warriors fan. That shove on Austin Reeves during that Lakers game was absolutely horrendous and should have received a flagrant one, if not a flagrant two. So I think there are things like that get really overlooked, which makes it really odd. It kind of goes against the NBA's whole message of wanting to bring the dirty stuff out of their game. But then you look at, where are you going? Then you look at this whole Moussa Diabate Jalen Duren fight and how it started. Jalen Duren had a very soft reaction, is my personal opinion. Now, I don't know what was said. I wasn't on the court. From what I could see, Moussa Diabate did not even foul him that hard. So for him to get up in Moussa's face, and Moussa was also talking, so maybe that is what incentivized it. But if it's just based on the foul, then I think that is a vast overreaction. And I don't necessarily point at Jalen Duren and say that's just Jalen Duren. It's just a reaction I've seen from a lot of NBA players. It's a physical sport. You're going to get hit. You're going to get grabbed. And there shouldn't be any easy buckets. Teams should have the mentality of no easy buckets. I feel like that's a totally fair mentality to have. And I don't feel like you should get butthurt over that. So I think increasing the physicality and allowing the NBA to be more physical will also decrease what is hurting viewership more than that. And that is the degree to which players complain about calls.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
So we're going to move on to our next topic.
Yeah, so that we already talked about a little bit, but I do want to go more into it. So in the summer, the NBA Board of Governors or NBA Board of Directors?
I think
one of the two.
Governors.
They are voting on if two teams should expand into the NBA, making it 32 teams total in the league. It is most likely to be Seattle and Las Vegas. It already sounds like, because we talked about it a little bit earlier, we have different beliefs on if this should happen. I think this definitely should not happen because I already see the huge disparity. And I just think there is a huge disparity between, and you talk about there's really good all-star caliber players that are on these losing teams. Like, I guess I was assuming you were thinking of the Nets because MPJ is kind of that guy. But like, I already think there's a huge disparity between the best NBA team's best player, like let's say Shea, and then the worst team's best player. And let's say that's MPJ. No, let's say that's like Alex Sarr, because that's really what it is. Unless you count Trae Young or Anthony Davis, or let's say Larry Markkinen.
You could easily say like Domantas Sabonis. Too.
Oh yeah, or
like,
Domantas Sabonis,
or Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan or whoever the best player on that.
I just feel like if the NBA expands to two more teams, that disparity is only going to get more. And I also think and I guess this isn't like a real complaint, but I do think there's already so much going on in the NBA every single day that adding more teams would just kind of lower the quality of each team and just lower the quality of the product in general. I'm under the belief we should lower the teams. And I know it'll never happen, but let's talk about rivalries for a second. I truly do feel like the more teams that are added in the league, the less of a chance a rivalry is to form because you're playing that team less. Now, do I think there could be 32 teams in the NBA and rivalries could happen? Yes. If they took a more of like an NFL approach where they kind of erased the whole idea of conferences and then just made it divisions. So you play every team at least twice, but you play one team like 6 times a year. I think that would be amazing. I don't mean for the NBA to copy the NFL, but I just think there will be we already complained about no rivalries. I think that if there's more teams, that's going to happen less. The only rivalry that could form is between like this Las Vegas team and the Seattle team. The good of it could come from New Orleans or Minnesota going to the East, because for some reason those are Western Conference teams. Now that we're adding 2 easily Western Conference teams, one of those guys could go in the East. Now it'd probably be Minnesota, not because it's more East than Louisiana, which it might be, but because you need the East to get a little better.
I mean, the thing is, from a team perspective, the East isn't bad, but if you want to talk about marketability, you want Ant in the East. That just becomes his conference if you put him in the
Ant
East.
Gets to play at a time where people in the East Coast could actually watch him, and the West Coast could watch him. Like that'd be a huge win-win.
Yeah, I like the idea of expansion, although I do acknowledge your point, which is that we do have a lot of teams right now in the NBA, and it's already hard to follow all of them because they play every night. That's what makes the NFL so great. In a lot of ways, is the nature of the sport dictates that the teams can only play once a week, and that means that you know what happens in every team's game every week, right? But I think bringing back the divisions would be a huge thing for the NBA in order to get more of these rivalries. I understand the argument against it because from a logistical perspective, divisions don't make a ton of sense. And it's something people complain about in the NFL every year. Like, are you kidding me? This 9-8 team made the playoffs and they get a home game over this 12-5 team that they're going to be playing in the wild card or whatever. But the Panthers almost beat the Rams any given Sunday.
And let's make that argument, because let's be honest, that affects one playoff game. A singular, or maybe 2, I guess, because it's for each conference.
Sometimes, it's for each conference, and sometimes those teams win. I mean,
and sometimes those teams win. Sometimes they make it competitive enough where it looked like they had a chance, or they deserve to be there, like the Panthers. And even if they don't, and it's a huge blowout, now the whole regular season is way more competitive. And then in the playoffs, it's one bad game, and then the rest of the playoffs are still competitive.
Right.
Versus it's just not as competitive in the NBA in the regular season. But sure, I guess technically it's more fair in the playoffs, even though it's going to be a 1-8 seed anyway, and it's going to be a huge blowout.
And I would just rather see teams care about their rivalries during the regular season. The Oklahoma City Thunder and the Spurs are a great budding rivalry, but that is almost an anomaly in a lot of ways because of how Victor Wembanyama perceives Chet Holmgren, because the Spurs managed to beat the Thunder 3 times in a row to start the season, to start their season series. Because all of these things lined up, it is a budding rivalry. And obviously we've talked about it on this channel, and we've had people give their opinions as to whether it is a rivalry or it's not a rivalry, or whether certain players are correct in saying that it is or is not. I think that they are a playoff series away from this being a true rivalry, if you want to even say that it's not.
I believe so.
Right? So, but that is an anomaly, right? We could have that for so many different teams. Teams in the NFL just hate the teams in their division. And it doesn't matter if they're good, doesn't matter if they're bad, doesn't matter where each of the teams is at. Two ass teams could play in the same division, and fans are tuning in to watch that game because they hate that other team. This is what it drives. It drives interest not just for the good teams when they're good, but for the bad teams when they're bad, for the good and bad teams playing each other, for all of this, right? All of a sudden, your team who's out of the playoffs, their game in the middle of March matters a lot to you because, yeah, I really want to beat my division rival that is up on me in the division, has been so good all year. I want to get one up on them. You know what I mean? Like, it just drives a lot more interest. I wouldn't even be mad at the NBA going to like 6 divisional games that each team plays during the season, or even like 8 or something crazy like that, and making it more proportional to how the NFL does it, because I want to see those teams play. I don't really care about Eastern and Western Conference teams playing in the regular season. I got to be honest with you. I don't think I need to see every team play each other during the regular season, but I want to see teams develop rivalries and competitions with one another. And then imagine how much more interesting that makes the end of the year when they do stack. They could stack a bunch of divisional games at the end of the year, and then all of a sudden the last week of the season determines whether you are the 3 seed or the 7 seed.
That actually would be, yeah.
That'd be pretty fire, yeah. Or whether you make the playoffs or miss them entirely.
And yeah, I definitely still think, because of it is an 82 game season, there should always be one home game and one away game for each team in the NBA. Like, you get to put, every team gets to play every team in the NBA twice. I think that's just only fair with that many games. But there's no reason for it to be 3 to 4 games in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it does not matter that much. But the Hawks and the Knicks. Also, I was thinking the Spurs and the Jazz. Yeah, like those two teams, they have no reason to be a rivalry. But then you look at like, I'm trying to think of like the Ravens and the Browns or something like that. We're like the Browns are always bad and the Ravens are always good.
Like
but they're gonna always hate each other and want to beat each other.
And then it also creates, like you talk about the whole play-in thing. Yeah, is it kind of dumb that these teams are always in the play-in every year? Yeah, but the Heat and the Hawks play each other in the play-in almost every year. Can you imagine if they were in the same division too? Like in that actually, they are in this. Imagine if they were in the same division. Yeah, they're in the same division, dumbass. But
guess what?
But imagine if it actually mattered. Imagine if it actually mattered.
There's not even a reason right now for you to know that.
No,
there isn't. So bringing it back though to the expansion. That's just why personally I believe expansion shouldn't happen. I could see a couple positives happening. Obviously the drama and all the memes and how funny it'd be to see who gets protected, who doesn't. That'd be cool. I obviously want to in my because I've only been like a true NBA fan for like 11 years. So I've never like actually seen an expansion happen while I've been a super fan. So like, I think it'd be cool to witness that. It'd be cool to see a franchise, get it from the ground up. But like, besides that, I think after a couple years, I would just it would just end up being even worse.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I'd like it is, I mean, yeah, right now we could do 6 divisions of 5 teams. And then if we go to 32 teams like the NFL, we can do 8 divisions of 4 teams.
Yeah.
But you were arguing for it earlier. Is there
for expansion?
Yeah,
because I think.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, there are players in the NBA who deserve a chance and should probably get more opportunity that don't. I think that's what a lot of people argue. But who cares? I'm gonna be honest, because like these guys who aren't given a chance, they're not gonna become superstars. They're not gonna become all stars, most likely. And I'm a big NBA fan, and I love watching role players, and I love role players and that. Mm-hmm. But these superstar like teams being more even throughout means so much more to me than that, than seeing the role players thrive. Mm-hmm. And I'm someone who I want to talk about the NBA and basketball and sports and whatever in general full time. But yeah, I work 40 hours a week now. I don't have time to even keep up with these 30 NBA teams, let alone 32.
But if it was a divisional race, you could look at that and be like, oh wow, I've got to circle this game. All of a sudden, Knicks Celtics, which is already usually a great game between two storied franchises that have very intense fan bases, now it becomes even more. Now it becomes about the division, about the playoff spot, about the home playoff series. These two teams might even end up playing each other in the playoffs, and this series might determine who gets the home court advantage in that playoff series.
You know what was supposed to change this, which I don't think anyone, maybe I believed it a little bit. It's supposed to be the in-season tournament. But there's still zero incentive to care about the in-season tournament.
It doesn't affect anything.
It doesn't affect anything. That no rivalries are ever going to come of it. I think I was defending it, thinking maybe it could, because I thought they'd change the rules eventually to make it so that there's way more incentive. There's not. Isn't it still just money?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's cool. Money's cool, but like, they have enough of it.
I guess my biggest advocacy I could have for expansion is that I understand these guys aren't going to be all-stars. They're not going to be superstars. They're not going to be this and that. But that's what gives sports character, is those guys that aren't going to be the greatest, but they still get an opportunity to shine. I feel like the reason people don't appreciate the talent level that's in the NBA right now is because so much of it is stuck on these bad teams. If you at least had somewhat of a reason to care about that talent, people would appreciate it. People find a way to appreciate people on bad teams and in bad situations when it comes to sports. It happens a lot, and I think it would happen in the NBA. And also, I think expansion would drive a divisional realignment and a conference realignment, which the NBA desperately needs right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I just don't think people are even watching they'll find ways to enjoy Nets hoops, but most people aren't watching Nets hoops. And so I guess like for someone who's really into it, I think expansion could be great, but you, especially as a commissioner, as a business, you are going to cater to people who are more casual. And I actually think this would make it worse for the casual viewer.
Mm-hmm. Also, just saw a news thing flash up. We both saw that LeBron James was ruled out for tonight's game against the Spurs earlier. That ends his All-NBA streak. He's now ineligible to make the All-NBA team. So that's pretty crazy, because it was 21 seasons of being an All-NBA player.
I mean, granted, would he have deserved it if he was even eligible? I don't know. Would they have given it to him? Maybe his name is LeBron James. That is pretty sad, though. And
Yeah.
I'm someone who was truly advocating for the games played requirement for the awards, and I still kind of am. But I do kind of think that, you know what, if someone plays 63 or 64 games, but is like clearly an all NBA player, they should get the award.
I think it was a drastic fix at a time where the problem was drastic. So at the time it felt appropriate because of how much teams were load managing and how bad the issue of resting stars had gotten. But now it does feel like a step too far.
I think they should lower it to 55, but still keep the 65 mark in mind. Like,
yeah,
you should have to play 65, but I feel like if zero leniency is a little crazy.
It's not crazy to just have voters use their critical thinking skills and go, well, if this guy played 65 games and played a little bit worse than this guy who played 55 games, the guy who played 65 probably deserves to be an all-NBA selection. I genuinely believe that the voters are just box score watchers, and that's a big part of the problem for the NBA.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton else to say about NBA expansion.
No, I don't either.
All right, so we're going to move on to our next topic. I'm going to let you intro this one since you came up with it.
Next topic, just a quick little game. We're really going to make this for our shorts, but I think it's interesting to talk about. Tie game, 10 seconds left. Who takes the shot for these NBA franchises all time? We are going to say a franchise and think of the one player in that franchise who's taking the game-winning shot. And a lot of these, when you think about this, you're going to think about like a bucket, someone who's like a jump shooter, but it doesn't have to be that way. So I just went ahead and listed 4 teams. First team, Philadelphia 76ers. A couple guys come to mind. Joel Embiid, Wilt Chamberlain, Allen Iverson, Julius Erving. Cam, who are you depending on to make the shot?
It's a hard one.
Because this isn't best player.
Call me crazy. I'm not saying it's him. You could throw Tyrese Maxey into that conversation as well with how he's played, and he has been a clutch shot maker, but I think I'm easily going Allen Iverson. When you talk about the ability to get to a shot and use your handle and make tough shots, I think he is probably the best tough shot maker out of anybody on that list. Now, is he a smaller guy? Is he the most efficient? Sorry. Is he a smaller guy? Yes. Is he the most efficient? No. But
definitely different answers to that question.
But Allen Iverson is a guy who took a 76ers team who had no business going to the finals to those finals and did so against fairly tough competition, then took a game from the Lakers who only lost that singular game in their entire playoff run. I would trust Allen Iverson with a lot. Now, as a human being, not the biggest fan of Allen Iverson, but I'll give him his credit as a basketball player.
Watch the clip. We'll link it.
Yeah.
I think Allen Iverson seems like the obvious answer, and it might be him. But when we talk about all-around scores, who is the best? You could think of Wilt Chamberlain because statistically it's there. It's just, it's 60s hoops. He didn't have much of a bag. Maybe you don't need one, but I might have to go. No, I'm going Allen Iverson. I was going to say Joel Embiid, but
I know you were.
Embiid
you were thinking about it.
Embiid is not clutch. Embiid is not that guy in the clutch. He's fine. He's had his moments. Don't get me wrong. But the guy who in his prime, or almost there to his prime, on the Toronto Raptors averaged 17 a game to lose to Kawhi Leonard, with Jimmy Butler on his team, with all these Ben Simmons, all these talented guys.
And look, at the end of the day, it is a 10 seconds left situation. It's not winning a series or anything like that. I'm still taking Allen Iverson. I mean,
even in a series?
No. I'm saying in a 10 seconds. I'm saying in a series, I'm definitely taking Allen Iverson. In a 10-second situation, that's where it becomes more of an argument of like, well, Joel Embiid's bigger, he can get to his shot, maybe easier. But Allen Iverson, as a basketball player, just he's got the capability to get off any shot that he wants.
Yeah, I agree. And then in a series, it's definitely Iverson. I was going to kind of argue Embiid, but no, Embiid has been terrible in the playoffs.
And now, all right, now we're going to move on to our next team, and that is the Hornets. And I feel like this is pretty easy. I have one guy that comes to mind, and it's instantaneous.
You got to go Kemba Walker.
Cardiac Kemba. It's easy, right? Because who else, number one in Hornets history, are you even going to look at as a clutch player?
You got to think of Glenn Rice. You got to think of Del Curry.
You could talk about Grandmama.
Larry Johnson.
Yeah.
You can go Tony Park.
You could go Big Al.
Al Jefferson.
You could go. I mean, shit, dude. They might have some of the best players on their.
I guess you could say Alonzo Mourning.
Like Alonzo
Like,
Mourning, but like, yeah.
I don't think he's getting a bucket. You go quick Bugsy Bogues. You go.
The way NBA media talks about him, you could go Con Knipple. We'll get to that later.
So if you're a big Kemba hater, you actually could go him because he has been
But
clutch this season, and he is
Kemba number one was known. You can't be known as cardiac Kemba and not be the pick. That guy was so clutch. Also at 5'11", too. I mean, we're just rattling off these smaller guards. We're probably about to rattle off another one as I look at the next team we've got up. And a lot of these guys just, I mean, incredible talents to be the scorers that they are, which is why I trust them at the end of the games, because they've been playing basketball at a disadvantage their entire lives, and they've been making it work. Tell me why they can't make it work for 10 more seconds.
Dude, in 20 years, people are going to talk about Kemba in those comment sections of TikToks that say like, oh, give me a deep poll. Give me a deep 2010.
I hate those. I hate those so much.
It's Kemba.
You ever heard of Kyle Korver? This is like performative basketball fans. It's literally like the girl, you walk up to a girl at the bar and you see she's wearing a basketball jersey and you start trying to talk to her about basketball and you're like, yeah, there's some, I know some really niche players. You know, there's this guy, LaMelo Ball. I've been following him since high school, man. I've been following his whole, like, shut the fuck up, dude. I'm so sick of seeing these self-proclaimed geniuses. I won't even call myself a self-proclaimed genius. I know what I know, and what I know is enough for me to feel like I can talk on here, but I'm not going on ESPN yet. And
Ever heard of Ricky Rubio? Like
Ricky Rubio. Now, you want to say ever heard of Johnny Flynn? If I could find a Johnny Flynn fan out there, yeah, I'd listen to you. I'd hear you out, but no, yeah.
It's easily Kemba.
Easily Kemba.
Next team, the Golden State Warriors. Again, Wilt Chamberlain. Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson,
Chris Mullin,
Jimmy Butler,
Tim Hardaway, Jimmy Butler. You know, there's been a lot of guys that have come through there and been very good players. You could even, if you want to go, 2000s Warriors, you could go Baron Davis. I mean, that dude was pretty clutch.
Quick little Monte Ellis.
Little Monte Ellis, Richardson. Hey, man. The Martian's got the death beam pointed at Earth. I'm taking Iguodala.
God damn it. You took my joke. I wrote the Warriors just thinking I was going to say that. I was actually thinking.
I knew it as soon as I thought of it. I'm like, this is why he put them on here.
You know what's funny though? I could have also said that for the Sixers. I was thinking of saying it for
you could have. Yeah. But
it's Iguodala.
Yeah, it's Iguodala. I mean,
no,
shoot, dude. As soon as he left the league, the aliens started to take over. So
Max Kellerman doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm going.
I love Max Kellerman, dude.
Look, Max Kellerman's great.
Yeah.
You could say Steph Curry, but if you do want to talk about the most clutch player who's played for the Warriors in the whatever, I can't even speak. Jimmy Butler is the clutchest guy.
Jimmy Butler is really clutch.
Is he more clutch than Stephen Curry? I kind of think he is.
Here's my problem. I think Jimmy Butler is really clutch. Steph Curry, throughout most of his career, didn't need to be clutch. And there was times where you could say he failed to. You could absolutely say that. But a lot of the times they were just blowing teams out. Now in the later parts of his career, you could say Jimmy Butler's more clutch than Steph. 42 points in Game 4 of the NBA Finals against the best defense in the NBA, against the Defensive Player of the Year, in a game where you would be going down 3-1 if you lost. That's pretty damn clutch.
No,
50 points in a Game 7 in an arena where the fans were chanting, you got 40 on your head in Game 1, and they pushed you right to the brink. That's pretty clutch.
No, I actually don't think it's fair picking Jimmy Butler, because I was also thinking, in my mind, I was like, wait, Allen Iverson, Jimmy Butler's, I would take Jimmy Butler to make a clutch shot over Iverson. But then it's like, Jimmy Butler's not a Sixer. Jimmy Butler's not a Warrior. You kind of have to, for something like this, you do have to pick a player who actually played.
I do like picking the version of that player that played for the Warriors. And I do like Jimmy, but he did not show up in the playoffs last year the way they needed him to.
It's either Steph or Iguodala.
Or you could throw in a third guy, and people aren't going to necessarily like this.
KD?
Kevin Durant. You want to talk about getting to a bucket? I don't think there's a way to stop Kevin Durant from getting to a bucket. Now I'm going to pick Steph Curry, personally, because I think Steph Curry overall is the more clutch player. And I would trust 10 seconds left. That dude can make a shot from anywhere. Like literally, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how well you contest it. Doesn't matter where you contest it. Doesn't matter where he's shooting it from. He can make it from anywhere. But Kevin Durant is just not seeing the contest. Kevin Durant is either going to make or miss the shot, and that's up to Kevin Durant.
If you want me to pick between Warriors Stephen Curry and Warriors KD, I'm going to pick Warriors Stephen Curry. If you want to say in general,
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe
I
in
would
general, Kevin Durant, you do pick.
It's just tough. I feel like overall, it's very close, and my personal bias is going to make me pick Steph. But it is very close, and there's an argument to be made either way.
Yeah. Last team, Utah Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
You immediately think of Karl Malone, unfortunately. You think of Donovan Mitchell. You think of Adrian Dantley.
I'm sorry. Karl Malone was not a clutch player. I'm not thinking of Karl Malone for this. The mailman doesn't deliver on Sundays.
You think of Joe Johnson. You think of Darren Williams.
You do think of Darren Williams. You think of Paul Millsap. I remember I was at a Utah Jazz game when I was 8 years old, and the game had gone to overtime. And my mom said, they were down like... My mom was trying to get out of there. My mom had to work the next morning, right?
Yeah.
Bless my mom for sitting with me through that game, okay? 8 years old, not even a Utah Jazz fan. I just loved being there. I don't even remember they were playing. Game goes to first overtime, right? Paul Millsap hits a big shot to tie the game up, essentially, right? And he did it at the end of regulation too. Bang, bang, right? And my mom's this whole time going, let's go. Let's just get out of here. Let's beat traffic, right? Double overtime, right? They're down 3. There's a few seconds left. My mom's like, let's just go. There's no way they're going to hit another shot, right? Let's just go. I'm like, Mom, you got to, I said the stupidest thing because I had been reading this like baseball history book. I was like, Yogi Berra said, it's not over till it's over, Mom. We have to stay. So we stayed, and Paul Millsap hits like a fading 3 from the corner to tie the game and send it to triple overtime. So I like genuinely.
Are you picking Paul Millsap?
I'm not picking Paul Millsap, but I got to shout him out for one of the best sports experiences I've ever had. But anyway,
you could also say Gordon Hayward. Yeah, quick little Joe Johnson. However, I think it's kind of obvious who you pick here. It's Donovan Mitchell.
It's the Don. Yeah,
that dude was so clutch in the playoffs, year in, year out. And unfortunately, he got scapegoated. And there's still people to this day who believe that he was the problem and not Rudy Gobert.
Which is crazy. He was not the problem, dude. Rudy Gobert allowed Terrence Mann to drop 37 points. Yeah. All the Clippers did in that game was they said, Rudy Gobert is going to guard Terrence Mann in the corner. Terrence Mann is going to sit in the corner, and he's going to shoot open threes all game because Rudy Gobert literally cannot get out there in time to defend it.
And you could say it's because of a lack of perimeter defenders, but at the end of the day, the lack of perimeter defenders did not lose them that game in that game 6. It was Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell every single year in the playoffs, even on the Cavs, tries his ass off, and he's always the best offensive player every single time.
And you can have a perimeter or a rim protector who can also be a perimeter defender. I'm not the biggest fan of Chet. Chet's not letting that happen. Chet is mobile enough to not let that happen. Victor's not letting that happen. Mobley's not letting that happen. Draymond Green is not letting that happen. And yes, I'm throwing Draymond Green in the category of rim protectors because he has played that role for the Warriors. So I just think if you're going to be this 4-time defensive player, I'm a Rudy Gobert hater. I'm not even going to be apologetic about it. If you're going to be this 4-time defensive player of the year and you're going to be the quote unquote greatest rim protector in the current NBA, you got to be able to get out on a shooter.
Non-biased Warriors fan over here. Of course, he hates Cooper. But all right, cool. There's that, and I think we only have one other thing to talk about.
Technically two, but we'll get to mine
on it. Yeah, we might. Cooper Flagg has been amazing this year. Like, he has absolutely played way better than I expected, and I was pretty high on him. I mean, we had, as a friend group, discussions about how good he was going to be statistically because we play a lot of fantasy basketball. But I thought not only would he actually be good, but he'd be good as a fantasy player, and he's been even better than that. He has already he's already discovered his bag at 18 years old in the NBA, or recently just turned 19. He is the youngest player in the NBA, and he's a 20-point per game scorer who is a great defender, who can rebound the ball, who can make plays, he can self-create, he can, get it off a lob, he can play make, pass, he can do everything pretty much. Now, is he amazing at a lot of things? Yeah, I don't really think so, but he's definitely exceeded expectations. He's easily going to win Rookie of the Year, even with Colin Kapoor in the race, who has also been amazing and easily would have won it last year if he was a rookie last year. Cooper Flagg's been great. He did drop like over 40 points. Has he done it twice this season? Or
He
like
has.
3
He dropped
times?
42 against the Jazz, and he dropped 49 against the Hornets.
And so pretty much Cooper Flagg's been great. I think he's a future superstar. And the Ringer made their trade value rankings on February 4th. I think it's made by Bill Simmons, but maybe it's like a whole team
Probably
that
makes
makes
it
it.
up at the top.
It probably does. But pretty much Cooper Flagg was ranked 5th in this list for highest valued trade pieces in the NBA. Number 1, it says Bill Simmons. Yeah. So Bill Simmons made it. Number 1 was Victor Wembanyama. Number 2 was Nikola Jokic. Number 3 was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Number 4 was Ant. And Cooper Flagg was 5th as a 19-year-old guy. Now, obviously, being 19 helps you in this ranking, but it is kind of crazy that he's already proven himself, at least to Bill Simmons, that he's worth this much. Even with the lack of, playoff appearances, even with the lack of kind of everything, the three-point shot hasn't been amazing. He's still this high. But is this really who Cooper Flagg is? And I'm someone who's really high on him. But I would still, number 6 on this list is Luka Doncic. Right now, for beginning my franchise, or not beginning my franchise, but if I am a franchise, would I rather have Cooper Flagg or Luka? Who would you rather have, Cam? Who? Because honestly, I understand Luka is this amazing talent. I think I'm going Cooper Flagg.
The hard part is people devalue the fact so much that Luka Doncic led a team to the NBA Finals at 24 years old.
He did.
Anthony Edwards is currently 24 years old. So if Anthony Edwards this year led a team to the NBA Finals, people would be going crazy. They'd be going like, he's the truth. He's, you know what I mean? And Anthony Edwards is a great basketball player. Luka Doncic also led a team to the NBA Finals at 24 years old. He just happened to run up against the Boston Celtics, who were like one of the best teams of all time that year. Literally. I mean, they beat a lot of all-time great teams.
No,
so
they did. That Celtics team was...
They
people complain about watching them because of how good they were.
They might be a top 10 team of all time.
We could
I
definitely
don't
make a video arguing.
I don't blame Luka for losing to that team. I feel like as much as people were shocked by the Luka trade, the fact he got traded has still kind of underestimated his value in a lot of people's opinions because he got traded, right? How can someone be that good and get traded? I mean,
Cam, I want to take from you though.
I'm taking Luka Doncic. I'm coming to the point of saying I'm taking Luka Doncic. Is Cooper Flagg great right now? Or he's good right now. Could he be great? Yes. Could he be amazing? Yes. Could he be an MVP of the league? Yeah, he has that type of potential. But I've already seen that from Luka. I'm taking the surefire thing. And so Cooper Flagg will never be as good offensively as Luka Doncic. He will probably be better defensively. I mean, we can almost say that he already is. But he will never be as good offensively.
I'd say he already is. And I understand if you're watching Jimmy High Roller videos, then Luka Doncic is apparently an average defender in the league.
But I'm not even talking. I just think Luka Doncic is that incredible of an offensive talent. Now, I think what I will say, they're interchangeable. I think they're very much around that same level, right?
I agree, but I'm taking Cooper Flagg just because it is. I've just seen Cooper the idea of Cooper Flagg's archetype win more championships than a Luka Doncic. Like we did just see what do you call it? What's the word again when it's like one person doing everything on the court? It's like heliocentric.
Yeah.
We have seen a heliocentric offense work just last year with the OKC Thunder, but that is a generational defense.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, how many heliocentric offenses have won a championship? How many
Luka Doncic's have we seen in the NBA? There's literally been one.
And who's that?
Luka Doncic.
Oh, okay, I guess technically.
I'm saying I don't think we've ever seen a player that can be this dynamic on offense. We've seen guys that are more efficient offensive players, but when you talk about when he's just on and he can do everything on offense when he's on. Now he's not always on, and that's the problem.
You're glazing. No, because we've seen players. Now we can talk about all-time players, yes. And obviously these are really good players, but we've seen obviously LeBron. We've seen a Larry Bird do this. We've seen a Kevin Durant do this. We've seen players.
I love Larry Bird, and Larry Bird is better than Luka Doncic. Larry Bird played with 3 other Hall of Famers.
Shit, dude. Luka at least played with one on that finals run, and he couldn't get it.
One is not 3. I'm sorry. 1 is not 3.
Actually, that is a decent conversation. Is Kyrie Irving for sure a Hall of Famer? I think
he's a Hall of Famer in my estimation.
He might not be a first ballot, but he's a Hall of Famer. I don't want to build around and I understand if you have Luka Doncic, then you for sure have the offensive guy.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to build a really good defense. I don't like the play style that Luka has ever played with. I don't like that. I mean, it's the same thing. I've had to watch Trae Young my whole like Trae Young. Obviously, Luka is way better, but it's the same idea. It's just Luka's way better. It's a heliocentric offense.
What did you say to me
guys
earlier?
Are not in
wait, hold on. What did you say to me earlier about scoring?
What did I say?
It doesn't matter how efficient you are. If you score the most points, you're probably the best player on the floor.
Yeah,
That's exactly what Luka Doncic is. And so Luka Doncic is the player that you think, out of anybody, according to the archetype that you think is the best player, would be the best player on the floor.
When I say best player, like, okay, Cam is referring to J-Dub being the headline of beating the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka Doncic led them to a win. We could say that, but that doesn't mean automatically if you scored more points, you are the better player. That just means that you led that team. You carry that team. I think Cooper Flagg on his own team, a championship team where he has a good number 2 guy, is going to be the leading scorer for that team as well. I think it's different when you're comparing, like if Luka played against Cooper Flagg and Luka had more points, but Cooper Flagg did the other things, then Cooper Flagg did better, but you still say Luka led that team. Mm-hmm. It's a I don't know.
I understand what you're saying. This is a very like Steph and Klay Thompson argument that people used to have all the time about Klay being like this great two-way defender and Steph being just the scorer and distributor. So that's what I will say is that this is an argument I've heard before.
I get Cooper Flagg's 19 and Luka's 26, but I think even with that being said, you can't compare Cooper Flagg to Klay Thompson if you're going to call Luka Steph Curry.
I'm not saying Cooper Flagg's Klay Thompson. I'm not saying Luka's Steph Curry.
Luka right now is a better player than Cooper Flagg.
I'm saying I will take. I know you're not saying that Cooper Flagg's better. We're talking about trade value and who would you rather, whatever. I just think Luka Doncic right now
who has a higher ceiling. And I understand you're saying Luka has already shown it.
Luka's averaging 34, 9, and 9. What do you mean who has a higher ceiling?
What if Cooper Flagg could do that while actually playing defense?
He's not going to
play defense.
34, 9, and 9. If Cooper Flagg ever in his career, which means you guys have to keep tuning into this podcast for the next 15 years, ever averages 34, 9, and 9, I will eat a shoe live on this podcast with no seasoning and no sauce.
It better be a real shoe.
It'll be a real shoe.
I'm not letting you get away with like a cake. Like
I will eat a real shoe.
All right,
34, 9, and 9. It is literally generational.
Dude, when basketballflation hits and like 34, 99.
God, when they go to 15-minute quarters and I'm like, fucked.
Like 34, 99 isn't even impressive anymore.
It's just like, it's like, Sharif Cooper randomly just averages that for a season. God, dude.
I love how we both use Sharif Cooper as a player who's like good but ass at the same time. It's like, oh, could he do that? Well, he's supposed to be good, but he's pretty ass. Like, so it'd be embarrassing if he did it.
But let's just say this though: how amazing would it be if these two got to play with each other?
Oh, that'd be great.
That'd be incredible. Yeah.
Next player up though. We've talked a lot about Luka. Mm-hmm. Cade Cunningham. Would you rather have Cooper Flagg or Cade Cunningham?
I'd rather have Cooper Flagg, and I love Cade, but he is a bit below that top 6 group of guys.
I do think that Luka and Cade actually play like very similar to each other, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Now, Cade Cunningham will show a little bit more effort on defense, but like in terms of offensive play styles, it's pretty similar. And if I said Cooper Flagg over Luka, then I'm definitely saying Cooper Flagg over Cade. It'd have to be a guy, and we'll keep going down the list. It'd have to be a guy who has a play style that's super, you can play alongside it.
Mm-hmm. And now this is the last of the quote-unquote Group A guys, which is labeled as completely and utterly untouchable. So after this, we won't go through every guy. But we're probably going to do the top 10, and then we'll
name a couple if we see.
And then we'll go down. Next guy is Tyrese Maxey. Now, I thought it was really interesting. He's in this completely and utterly untouchable category, but Corby put it into perspective for me. He's a 25-year-old averaging 31, basically 32 and 7 with 2 steals on almost 40% shooting from 3.
And for the field, it's probably like 48, 49.
Pretty damn good. And he's not a slouch on defense. He's not an elite defender, but he does try.
And they're winning games without that many winning pieces. Like people want to hype up VJ Edgecombe. That's cool. A majority of rookies are not winning players. Mm-hmm. Paul George has not been good. Joel Embiid has become good recently, but was not good to start the season. Like the fact that they are I think 6 seed right now or 5 seed is so impressive.
That being said, I would take Cooper Flagg over Tyrese Maxey right now.
Same.
Yeah. And this is trade value rankings. So
obviously, talent wise, we're gonna take all these other guys over Cooper Flagg right now.
Yeah.
But in terms of like value of like how good they can be, Cooper Flagg has the ceiling of an MVP.
Now these next 2 guys are interesting. Two stars in what you could call the latter stages of their career, one far more than the other. Giannis Antetokounmpo and Stephen Curry. Now, I love Steph. I think it's pretty obvious that you're taking Cooper Flagg over him at this stage of his career because there's probably a year or two more of Steph left, even though he's been phenomenal this year. I just don't see him playing too much longer.
Yeah.
And then Giannis.
Giannis is interesting because I'm going to give a take that I don't know how many people are going to agree with, but winning bias aside, if they were all winning the same, it's not crazy to have Giannis as the best player in the NBA over a Shea and Jokic. I seriously don't believe. Like, every time I watch Giannis on the court, he is doing everything right, and unfortunately, he has just been playing with bad teammates. Now, obviously, with health and with age, I feel like I'd rather have Cooper Flagg, but if I already have a set and ready team to win, then I'm picking Giannis. And I understand that Luka is 5 years younger, but I seriously think Giannis is a whole tier above Luka in terms of how good he is as a basketball player. Giannis has been amazing. Obviously, the counting stats aren't as good as Luka's. It's 29, 10, and 6 with only 1 block. But you just watch him on the court, and you just I don't even watch the Bucks. Well, Giannis doesn't even play on the Bucks anymore. He hasn't been getting minutes. But it's just so disappointing. I mean, we both watched the playoffs last year. Him playing the Indiana Pacers in the first round. And he was the only guy. He was, seriously, no one else was doing a single thing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Damian Lillard got hurt, and you never know what happens if he stayed healthy. Mm-hmm. But because Dame got hurt, and even Dame had like a shitter game, I feel like. I forget which game it was. But like, Giannis was always the only one ever doing everything. And if Giannis had 6 turnovers in a game, it's because he had to have 6 turnovers in a game.
Yeah, I think it's shocking to me that the gap between Giannis and Jokic is this large. And Jokic being at 2 makes sense. But Giannis should be up there as well.
I think the argument might just be Giannis's game just won't age as well.
Maybe.
But then again, how good will Jokic be at age 35? Like, I think Giannis won't be
Jokic would be pretty good at age 35. I think Jokic might have a game that could age the best out of anybody on this list.
The only problem is I don't know how many minutes he'll be able to play at age 35. Because he plays a lot of minutes right now. Like, that dude does not...
All he has to do is be able to run. He doesn't have to jump. He's not a high flyer. He just has to be able to run.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Giannis belongs in the Group A guys. And personally, I would take him over Cooper Flagg.
I don't blame you. I'm kind of close to doing that too.
Yeah.
If I have a roster ready to win right now, part of me just thinks, yeah, if it's a different guy like Steph Curry, I can hold up.
In terms of value, I guess we can say which guy has more value. It's Cooper Flagg that has more value right now. I mean, 12
he has more value.
He's 12 years younger.
But who would I value more? I might just value Giannis more.
I probably would too if I was a GM, and maybe that's why I'm not. But
yeah,
maybe that's why Bill Simmons isn't either. And then a couple other guys. Do you want to? How far do you want to go?
I mean, we could just say them real quick. But like Brunson, I'm taking Cooper Flagg. Mitchell, Cooper Flagg. Booker Cooper Flagg.
Jaylen Brown. Let's go down to some that we thought were interesting.
Because, yeah, we can talk about these trade value rankings.
Konkanippel at 17.
And Stephon Castle at 18.
Stephon Castle at 18. Now, Stephon Castle has been hooping. Konkanippel has also been hooping, even though his stats aren't listed here for some reason. I don't understand how they are rated over guys like Chet Holmgren or
like
Alperen Şengün. Amen Thompson being here and Alperen Şengün being here is also a little weird, but I am a Amen Thompson believer, so I will.
So Amen is 16, Con 17, Castle 18, Şengün 19, Chet 20, which I also think Chet, personally, because I just don't think Stephon Castle's this number 1 guy. I'm taking Chet as a number 2 or 3 over Castle.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jalen Duren, 21.
I feel like that's like kind of fair. Maybe even
I like him and Chet being next to each other. Wherever they're at on this list. I do at least like that.
Okay. I like Chet as a player better than Duren.
Well, he's 20 and Duren's 21. Now, in terms of the value too, Chet is 23 and Duren's 22.
Yeah, Duren has a whole year, but at that 3-point shot, man.
Then Denny Avdia at 22.
I'm taking Jalen Johnson over Denny Avdia.
Ride for your boy. Yeah. I like Jalen Johnson too as a player over Denny Avdia. Although, again, like these
also,
two being next to each other.
Maybe I'm biased. I like Jalen Johnson over a Jalen Duren and a Chet. Because I just feel like Jalen Johnson has actually star potential. I know like Chet, what he does right now is very good. And you could even argue is better than Jalen Johnson. No, like Jalen Johnson's gotten better every single year. He should be like way higher on this, in my opinion. No. He should be okay. Listen, I'm not even being biased. This is just my take, and I understand. I will rip on Jalen Johnson because I am a pessimistic fan sometimes. I'm taking Jalen Johnson over Amen Thompson in terms of for the future. Because here's the thing. I think Amen might even have more potential technically, but I'm not relying on a dude to develop his 3-point shot when it is garbage versus Jalen Johnson just needs to clean up all the other areas.
And Amen is only a year younger.
Yeah. Amen Thompson was not a young rookie.
No.
So, because I think their draft classes were 2 years different, but yeah, Amen Thompson was a year. Mm-hmm.
Here's the next one I want to talk about. VJ Edgecombe, Dylan Harper, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Williams. That's your 24 through 28. Over Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton. Honestly, I think I hate this the most out of everything I've seen so far.
Because they're going to come back from this. Like, doctors nowadays are so good at, like, we unfortunately cannot prevent injuries, but we are really good at having players come back healthier than ever, especially given the amount of recovery time. Now, unfortunately, sometimes players are rushed back, and that makes shit worse.
And you know what is interesting? The way these categories are made kind of leaves like an excuse for why they're in this position. Group F is labeled, this is a unique situation and ... I'm hanging up. So basically what you're saying is that because these players are injured, their talent level is they belong in this category together because they're both coming off of season-ending injuries and blah, blah, blah. You put them at 29 and 30. That is your ranking for them. They are below these other guys. Stop trying to add these qualifiers to make it seem like you didn't rank them below these other guys for any reason other than the fact that you think they are worth less in a trade.
Yeah. It also seems a little lazy that you had to go with the groups because Halliburton and Tatum are right next to each other. Personally, I'd have Tatum a couple spots ahead of Halliburton.
Paulo is in his own group. Thank God he's on a poison pill and we can't seriously discuss this.
I mean, you know what? That's fair. And then it's Brandon Miller. And then, okay. Wait.
Wow.
And I'm cool with Cedric Howard. I think Cedric Howard's cool. 33 is kind of insane. He hasn't been that good for an older rookie. Like, he's been good for an older rookie.
And we've got like Derek White, Lauri Markkanen, Trey Murphy, Bam Adebayo.
I'm taking Kawhi Leonard over Cedric Howard.
For trade value?
For trade value, yeah. I think Kawhi Leonard's that good.
Kevin
Durant's that good.
I feel like there's a name in here. Dylan Brooks being this high is kind of crazy. But
Franz Wagner being 45.
Franz Wagner 45.
LaMelo,
and Paolo Banchero 31. Interesting. Julius Randle, Pascal. We'll just keep going.
LeBron at 51.
That's
fair.
He's 41. Yeah,
that's
he's
fair.
Still.
Beef Stew at 53. I'm sorry, no teams are really trying to trade for. I understand he's been great defensively and even a little bit offensively this season, but
Alex Sarr under Asar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, and Peyton Pritchard. Are you kidding me?
I think he should be higher than LeBron James.
I don't. That's not crazy to say. Okay. Let's actually scroll up. He should be higher than Asar, higher than Isaiah Stewart, higher than Peyton Pritchard, higher than LeBron. I think he should be higher.
Are you screen recording this? I think I'll just have to. We'll have to.
No, we'll have to.
The list.
Sorry. Use your imagination. You know what all these guys look like. De'Aaron Fox, OG Anunoby. I'm taking him over both those guys. Yeah. De'Aaron Fox is 28. And OG over De'Aaron Fox is also crazy.
And Alex Sarr is a good player.
Pascal is 31. Julius Randle's 31. Franz, this is where I could say maybe you take. But Franz is also really low for some reason.
Yeah, Franz is 45. That's crazy.
I'm sorry. Dylan Brooks has played great. I'm taking Alex Sarr over Dylan Brooks for trade value.
Especially Franz.
We just saw the return for Ivica Zubac. I'm taking Alex Sarr over Ivica Zubac. Austin Reeves.
Aaron Gordon being 40 is so random. Like, he's good, but he's been hurt so much recently, and he's 30 years old.
I feel like they are taking into account winning situations a lot for these players.
Maybe, but I don't like the idea of taking into consideration winning. But yeah, let's keep going up. Let's see some.
And now I just saw Keontae George too. So
Keontae George at 56.
What the hell? Why?
That dude's been hooping. Like,
Why are
the Jazz have been shutting him down because of how good?
I'm sorry. This is such a random group of guys: Peyton Pritchard, Isaiah Stewart, Asar Thompson, Alex Sarr, Keontae George, Kaysen Wallace, and Andrew Nembhard.
Nembhard might even be too high.
Some of these guys are not like the others.
I just don't care about Nembhard that much. Joel Embiid,
Joel
59.
Embiid.
Joel Embiid has no trade value. I'm sorry. Like, even this might even be a stretch.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis just went for
Davis.
nothing.
Yeah. So
No, there's players.
how do they have less trade value than Karl Anthony Towns? Or sorry, more. How do they have more trade value than Karl Anthony Towns?
Well,
That was my.
It's because Cat. Well, they're all getting paid hella, but Cat is getting paid hella. I don't want Cat either. I think these guys are negative assets who shouldn't even be up here. How is Lou Dort at 63? Zion is, that's fair. Zion being at 62 is pretty fair. That's
Lou Dort.
more than
Lou Dort over Darius Garland. Now I understand this was made right. This was updated on February 4th. The Harden trade had already gone through.
So let's keep going up. Maybe Harden.
So we're saying Lou Dort could get you James Harden. That's what we're saying, Bill Simmons, huh?
Dude, imagine Shea and James Harden as a backcourt. That would have been nasty. Jaden McDaniels. Ooh, that's pretty low. Jaden McDaniels 65? I'd rather have him as a trade value piece than Anthony Davis.
Ooh.
AD just got you nothing.
I mean, he did just get you nothing.
Southern Brook.
Okay. Desmond Bain, Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is a negative asset. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, Desmond Bain. By the way, Desmond Bain just got you like 5 first-round picks. He should be way higher.
Should be high, unless they're saying what you could trade him for now, which is like, I guess.
Has he been that bad though?
He hasn't been that bad. He just also hasn't been that great. You know.
Yeah.
Norm Powell. Josh Giddey, Mikal Bridges.
That was another 5 first-round picks guy. But
Brandon Ingram. That good. Brandon Ingram.
He's injury prone and he's like
okay
28.
How is James Harden below Darius Garland?
I think they had to trade a second-round pick. So a second-round pick is the
no. They Cavs traded a second-round pick.
So they traded Darius Garland and a second-round pick for James.
Then
yeah. Then I don't.
That doesn't make any sense.
Like this.
How do you feel about this, Corby? Dyson Daniels at 73.
Here's the thing. The potential's there, so I think he should be higher, but I'm not going to fight for Dyson Daniels. I'm not. I do kind of think Matas should maybe be a little bit higher than Dyson, though. I do think Ace Bailey should probably be higher than Dyson. Like, these guys are, like, Ace Bailey being at 80 is kind of insane. And then I talked about this before the pod, so I'll go ahead and say it now. Anthony Black at 81. That dude's been, I'm not even exaggerating, consistently the best player on the Orlando Magic all year long.
I agree.
Because he's always been known as elite defender, and he's still playing good defense. It's just unfortunately the team isn't playing great defense.
It's just, and he's been healthy too. Let's throw that qualifier in there.
Oh, he also has been healthy, and then offensively, he's been great. Actually, like going into the draft, I thought he was a negative offensive player, and he's been great. So Anthony Black being at 81. Also, why do you have 81? You just wanted to include Anthony Black so bad. Well, if you wanted to include him, he should probably be higher.
I think it was a Kobe thing.
Why would it be a Kobe thing?
Because I think it was around that. I don't remember exactly when he scored. No, it was before that.
It was.
I don't know. That's the only NBA relevant thing I can think of.
With 81.
Yeah.
You could win 81 games in the season. If you
can.
really tried.
If you really tried, you know.
But
yeah, that wraps up our trade value rankings. Thank you to Bill Simmons for graciously providing us with this great list.
We love you, Bill Simmons.
We love you, Bill Simmons.
Please hire us. Anyways, I think that can kind of do it. Like, we can talk about like the other Bill Simmons ranking next time.
Yeah, I got one other thing for you, Corby.
What?
Actually. All right. It's the Winter Olympics right now. We've got a big event going on. All of us are feeling very patriotic. And they're all the way across the world in Italy, where I guess it's cold. I didn't really think it got cold in Italy, but I guess they got mountains there, so it gets cold up there. Yeah. Watch the Olympics. Incredible time of year. It happens every 4 years, the Winter Olympics. So have the chance to watch it. But obviously, the cold can have some impacts on you as a man, right? Sometimes you shrink under pressure when the cold hits you. But these athletes, they don't shrink under pressure. If anything, they rise to the challenge. Corby, are you familiar with Penisgate?
No. Wait, what?
Okay.
Okay, I'm so interested to see where this is going.
In sports, especially in the Olympics, an event that happens once every 4 years, as an athlete, you have to eke out every advantage you can get, especially in a sport as closely contested as ski jumping. Have you watched ski jumping before?
No.
It's basically, I'll show you a video. We can just, as you're checking.
It's like low battery, so we probably have it in like 10 minutes.
Cool. I'll speed run this. Anyway, ski jumping is a sport where human beings launch themselves down a massive hill off a ramp and proceed to throw themselves hundreds of feet down a slope and try to land as far as possible from where they took off. Right?
Okay.
So you're pretty standard Olympic sport.
Right.
And this is a sport of inches, truly, because these athletes are so close in weight and ability. This is what ski jumping is.
Joe, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That they glide in the air
So
like that.
they were going 111.5 kilometers an hour at landing, which is roughly equal to, I believe, about 70 miles an hour.
Wow.
So pretty impressive. Really impressive sport. Like I'm saying, you have to get every advantage possible. When these athletes are getting fitted for their suits, there are strict regulations to how they can get fitted and how tight the suits have to be, because if you're gliding through the air and your suit's a little bit bigger, you can get a little bit more lift and you can fly a little bit further. So, in an attempt to gain an advantage, male athletes have started injecting hyaluronic acid, which is an acid that is a common filler in cosmetic surgery, and they've started injecting it into their penises. And the reason why they do this is to make their penises larger in order to get fitted for a larger suit, in order to get more lift in the air as they're flying through the air, right? Now, there's a bunch of different stuff about how they're going to try to regulate this, and it's definitely not legal to do this. And there are a bunch of risks. Apparently, it can result in the loss of your penis if you do it, like tissue necrosis. Corby, I just want to ask you, what is your opinion on PEDs, penis-enhancing drugs?
Penis-enhancing drugs. Well, most PEDs are banned from being used in the Olympics. I don't understand how this is allowed, unless they want to call it a supplement. They are supplementing their penis. But this should not be allowed. Yeah, this is like so... What? Why is this a thing? Why is this a headline? Why is this a story? Why is this allowed? I mean, if it's in the rules, then go ahead, go for it. Risk your life for our country. I am proud, as long as it's the Americans doing it. Please don't have morals now. You know, like don't let all these Europeans and Asians and every other country, don't let all of them do this, and then we're like, ooh, that's. I kind of want to keep my penis. Oh, you selfish bastard. Hell no. No, dude, we're Americans. We're not with that. So, but that's kind of my whole opinion. I'm more just in shock.
Yeah.
He gave me no warning of this. So this is funny. I don't know my opinion. I kind of want to like dive deeper. I kind of want to like see like how much of an advantage can it give you? How much can it grow the penis? Where can you find this? This is all questions.
Where can you buy this? Where can you find it? How long would it take for it to get shipped to me? Do they ship to Utah? No. I think this line especially is hilarious. While the result of that investigation is pending, other questions remain. Why would a ski jumper want to tamper with their penis? Is it safe? And what does it have to do with aerodynamics?
Because there's more weight on you now if your penis is bigger. Would that then... Is it better to weigh more or weigh less?
Well, I think the point is more that it like causes your suit to be like a little bit larger, which gives you more lift. My question is...
go ahead.
Are female ski jumpers also participating in penis enlargement? These are the questions that need to be asked. These are the hard-hitting answers. And this is the journalism I am willing to conduct for the sake of truth. And
Cam's first official research paper is going to be on this, by the way.
Do female ski jumpers enlarge their penises? The world may never know.
Talk Yours publication. First published article.
I'm actually starting a research paper.
Yeah, so he's flying out to all the women in this.
No, never. I'm simply using math. I don't have to go. I'm doing it from the safety of my home. I'm using math to see how much they've grown their penises and how that might affect their aerodynamics with their particular sport. And is this happening in other sports? Is this happening in the NBA? Are players enlarging their penises for an advantage in the post? Is this happening in the NFL? Are players enlarging their member for the sake of shielding off defenders? An extra stiff arm, if you will.
I feel like if penis size increased in the NBA, there would be more fights.
There definitely.
Especially if you found out if it was public that people are enlarging their penis, I'd kind of want to fight that dude. I don't know. Or like if I was enlarging my penis, I'd fight other people.
Maybe that's what happened to Musa.
Maybe that's why there's been a lack of fights. There's too
many small penises in the NBA. We need
let's get those numbers up.
Bigger penises in the NBA.
The one thing scouts are not looking at before the NBA draft.
Yeah, this is
that's a funny story.
Yeah, this has been Talk Your Penis. Talk penises. Yeah, no, if
keep going.
Yeah,
just keep writing them up. Keep writing them up.
We have 2 words in our name. I can only replace 1 or 2 words with penis. This has been penis. Okay, that's enough of that.
That's enough. My phone's about to die.
Yeah.
If you guys enjoyed, like the video, it actually means a lot. Comment other stories, obscure or not, NBA related.
Give us your obscure sports story. And we'll try to talk about it next week.
And then subscribe, stay tuned. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the NBA playoffs. I feel like it can happen. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Peace out.